These are MLB records that will never be surpassed, no matter how much the game evolves.
Well, now the ball gets away from O'Neill. He kicks it to Benzinger.
No, I do not believe it.
Getting held up at third base isn't exactly how you want a day to end, but it's a celebrated achievement in baseball, especially if you can do it 36 times in one season. Owen "Chief" Wilson was a standout player with the Pirates in the early 1900s, and in 1912, he hit a league-leading and record-setting 36 triples. Wilson himself never hit more than 14 triples in any other season, while Curtis Granderson and Christian Guzman are the only players in the 21st century to have more than 20 triples in a season. That's an exclusive club. With an emphasis on power over speed and the amount of focus on outfield positioning, there just isn't a chance anyone comes close to this record. By the way, you may have noticed this is a brand new channel, so if you're enjoying this video, a quick subscribe would mean the world and help us keep making more content like this. For as fast as he was, you might think Rickey Henderson came close to Wilson's record. But would you believe his career high for triples was 7? His expertise was timing.
And Rickey goes, a pitch taken, he's gonna have it. He does! Rickey Henderson.
Never one to lack confidence, Henderson took off from first base at every chance he got throughout his career. He led all players in bags swiped 11 times in his career, and retired in 2003 with 1,406 stolen bases. Henderson was still stealing 40-plus bases at 42 years old. Nobody is doing that again.
The greatest of all time. Thank you.
But this next record just doesn't make sense. Leading the league in steals once is an impressive feat, but what about 7 years in a row?
There he goes. And the throw down and the
We can't just gloss over Henderson's Hall of Fame career without mentioning his historic 1982 season, when he stole an MLB record 130 bases. He broke Lou Brock's record of 118 set 8 years prior, but nobody has even come close since then. Jose Reyes in 2007 stole 78 bases, and that's as close as a player has come in the entire 21st century. Vince Coleman in 1985 was the last player to even attempt 130 steals in a season. Catcher Jody Davis may have had something to do with the decline in steal attempts. That's because in 1986, he stopped enough attempted theft to warrant an honorary police badge. A two-time All-Star with the Chicago Cubs, Davis led all catchers and base runners caught stealing in 1985 and set the all-time record the following year with 89. He stopped almost half of all base steal attempts that season. Tom Pagnozzi in 1991 was the last catcher to reach the 70 mark. Salvador Perez, one of the best in the modern era at throwing out base runners, only threw out more than 30 runners once in his career. And speaking of untouchable records, Ichiro has one that's even more impressive. Only 15 players have had more than 240 hits in a single season, and somehow Ichiro Suzuki did it twice. His record, 262 hits in one season, is still unmatched.
back up the middle, and there it is. He's a new all-time hit king in Major League history.
He needed 762 plate appearances to reach this total. Math is hard, so I'll trust the MLB's own analysis on this one. In order to break Ichiro's record, a player would have to hit 373 and log more than 700 at-bats. Now, let's take a look at a player who took getting hit to a whole new level. Craig Biggio had a successful but rather painful career, getting hit by a pitch 285 times in his 20 seasons. But nobody had it worse than Ron Hunt in 1971. Hunt, a two-time All-Star, led MLB in hit by pitches in 7 consecutive seasons, including in 1971 when he was clunked a league record 50 times. Talk about getting good flesh on the ball. Babe Ruth, he's got the runs. Okay, that may have been worded wrong, but I'm sure a man of his build has also had his fair share of incontinence issues. Anyway, Babe scored a record 177 runs in the 1921 season. Easily one of the best seasons of all time. Jeff Bagwell, with 152 runs in 2000, is the only player to even come close to this record in the modern era. But Ruth wasn't the only one who left his mark on the record books. Normally, if you're called a hack in any sport, it's a slight on your talent level. That doesn't apply to Hack Wilson. Wilson's career best year in 1930 included 56 home runs, a .356 batting average, and an MLB record 191 RBIs. It helps when you hit behind two players in Kiki Kyler and Woody English, who both had on-base percentages above .425. They just had the best names back then. Lou Gehrig came close the following season with 185 RBI, but nobody has so much as sniffed the record in the last 20 years. Sammy Sosa, with the help of steroids, is the only player to reach the 160 RBI mark in the 2000s. Now, let's take a look at some records that are hard to even comprehend. Nolan Ryan pitched until he was about 80 years old, give or take a few years. So it's no surprise he holds several pitching records.
2-2 pitch to Greg Myers. Got him swinging. Myers going after a pitch up and out of the strike zone.
One of his most impressive records, as a testament to his ability and longevity, is his 5,714 career strikeouts. He averaged more than one punch-out per inning in his 27-year career. Nobody pitches that long nowadays, and pitchers are on much shorter leashes due to injury concerns.
Man, you talk about a short leash. Snell can't believe it.
Not Nolan, though. Justin Verlander, arguably the best of his generation, is now in his 20th season and has 3,421 Ks. In order to surpass Ryan, he would have to pitch another 14 seasons while maintaining his career 171 strikeout average.
That's it! Number 7 is in the books. The remarkable Ryan has done it again.
Trying to strike out every batter you face can be a dangerous game, something Nolan Ryan can attest to. Other than Ryan, no pitcher in MLB history walked more than 2,000 batters. But our boy Nolan is the all-time leader with 2,795 base on balls. Even crazier, he led all MLB pitchers in walks and strikeouts in 6 consecutive seasons. Are you kidding me? But this next record is a little dangerous. For as wild as he could be on the mound, Nolan Ryan can take comfort that he isn't the career leader in one unfortunate stat: wild pitches. That distinction belongs to Tony Mulaney, a late 19th century hurler who played for 7 teams and 13 seasons. Mulaney finished his career with a whopping 343 wild pitches, including a career best, worst, 63 in 1884. Ryan, as expected, is second all-time with 277 wild pitches. Clayton Kershaw is the active leader with just 103 through 17 seasons. But wait, I know someone who could easily break this record.
Into the windup in his first offering.
Throwing errant pitches is one way to avoid giving up the long ball, or you could just do whatever Reggie Cleveland did in 1976. The Canadian pitcher, who played 13 seasons in the big leagues, allowed just 3 home runs that season while playing for the Red Sox. It wasn't like he played sparingly either. He appeared in 41 games and faced 719 batters. Roger Clemens is a 7-time Cy Young Award winner, and even in his best full season, he allowed 7 round trippers. And now, for a record that might surprise you. As impressive as Barry Bonds' record of 73 home runs was in 2001, it's the record he set in 2004 that will likely stand the test of time.
And they're walking him with the bases loaded.
Bonds was issued a free pass to first base a whopping 232 times in 2004, breaking his own previous record of 198 set in 2002. Juan Soto's the only one who's come close to that record since then. And it's not even that close with 145 walks in 2021. Given those free passes and his ability to hit the long ball, it's almost surprising Bonds isn't the all-time record holder for total bases. That belongs to Hank Aaron, who had 6,856 total bases in his 23 seasons.
with a high drive into deep left center field. Buckner goes back to the fence. It is gone.
Bonds retired with 5,976 total bases. Meanwhile, no active player is even close to being on pace to break Aaron's record. Miguel Cabrera, arguably the most complete hitter of the 2000s, played 21 seasons and only reached 5,368 total bases. Close, but no cigar. And you can bet nobody is breaking this next record. And if Pete Rose were still alive, I'm sure he would've. Rose, who played 24 seasons, is the all-time MLB leader in games, hits, at-bats, and plate appearances. It's unlikely anyone breaks any of those records, but it's his 15,890 plate appearances that stands out. For someone to break this record, they would have to average at least 662 plate appearances over 24 seasons. And you just don't see that type of longevity in today's game. And now, for a streak befitting the Iron Man title.
Cal Ripken on the phone, and he is not in the lineup. And we apparently will see the end of the Ripken streak. As a group, the Yankees left the dugout, gave Cal Ripken an ovation of their own. And now the fans rise as one.
Even with the understanding that there are a whopping 162 games in the baseball season, Cal Ripken Jr.'s streak of 2,632 consecutive games played is insane. The Orioles legend more than doubled the National League record for consecutive games played. Miguel Tejada had a decent streak going in the 2000s, but didn't even reach half of Ripken's total. Now let's take it back nearly a century ago for this next record, which, even with context, is hard to believe. Nowadays, when analysts praise a player's plate discipline, they're usually speaking about someone who strikes out about 30 or 40 times in a full season. Luis Ariz, for instance, led all players with just 29 punch-outs in 2024. But that's got nothing on Joe Sewell, who struck out just 3 times in 576 plate appearances in 1932. I guess you could say this dude really could see well. Sorry. And if you got an award named after you, you damn well better have some unbreakable records. So let's check in on Cy Young. 511 wins. Okay, that's pretty amazing. But this next one's mind-boggling. 749 complete games. For reference, nobody alive today has pitched more than 225 complete games, and 99.9% of pitchers don't even play long enough to start 749 games. Nolan Ryan in 27 seasons started 807 games and had 222 complete games. It's completely unbreakable. Which MLB records do you think will never be broken? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos just like this.